second night of a back-to-back for your Philadelphia 76ers, and they're riding a pretty high wave right now after winning 3 straight. Can they make it 4 tonight against Guerschon Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and the Sacramento Kings here on this Wednesday night? Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Pregame Show presented by Bet365. Bet365, download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Alongside Rich Hoffman, I'm Devon Givens. Bree is here producing. All of you in the chat hanging out with us for this quick 25-minute pregame show before we get to the game, see what the 76ers do. A entertaining one tonight. 2 all-star level guards in Guerschon Fox. Tyrese Maxey going head-to-head. Domantas Sabonis, as we all know about him. And the Sixers just simply playing some pretty good basketball. Can they keep it going? We'll get to our starters a little bit later. Our Bet365 pregame pick segment as well. But first, we have to talk about, Rich, starting off with Tyrese Maxey, the month that he's having right now, man. The month of January. One more game after tonight against the Denver Nuggets on Friday back here in Philadelphia as part of the 6-game homestand. But just wanted to kind of, we talked about it briefly last night. We talked with Mark Stein. It was a great conversation with Mark Stein. And then we spoke to Kyle from the arena. So while we did address a lot with Tyrese Maxey, discussing his Player of the Game award once again, as always, by the way, sponsored by no one, we discussed a lot about him. But, man, the way that he has been playing, I figured I would ask you and discuss with the people here in the chat, and Bree, of course, that just how good he has been, how good he has been overall. You talked about his 5-game stretch of over 30-plus points. We also mentioned the 11 straight games of 28-plus in these games as well. But it was also the fact that he's averaging 27 on the season, and in his last 10, he's averaging 32. So even if we just expand that 5 that you were talking about, he's averaging 32 over his last 10 games. And he has been phenomenal. After all that we got on him for the stuff early on in the season, it was again, it was right. We felt like we were right to do what we did in discussing it. And
but it's a long season.
It's not all his fault. And we said he's going to bounce back. But the games that we were talking about in the moment, they were un-Tyrese Maxey-like. So with it, we got on him a little bit about how he played, see if he was going to bounce back at all. And he certainly has, man. And one of the things that he discussed last night after the game, which we did not have a chance to talk about, was in some audio that Kyle and Derek were able to unearth from the press conference from the podium, what he was saying. You and I, with Derek and Kyle and Bree, and Roy for that matter, when Roy has sat in, we've talked about early on where it looked like he didn't look like himself. Not just to play, but there was something else affecting his level of play because of the personality that we know of him, that great nature, that way to pick things up. When other players in the past, including Embiid and even Harden in the past, have talked about when we felt down, we kind of look at the young guy because his personality is so bubbly and infectious that we go to him. But we mentioned that we thought, because we've seen him for so long, yeah, he looks like he's not enjoying himself out there. Losing hurts. Losing can punch you in the gut and take you away from your character, from who you are.
And in fairness, he's done a lot of winning, both, I'm sure, in high school, definitely had a good college season. And the Sixers were good right away in the NBA, right?
Yes, absolutely. And made an all-star team last year because of it. So we wanted to, for the people who did not see it, get Rich's reaction. I'll give my piece. If Bree feels she's compelled to jump in, of course, Bree always can. But wanted to give you the first part when Kyle asked him the question last night about finding that happiness and that joy in his game once again. Here's the clip with Kyle asking Tyrese Maxey last night.
This is good. I haven't seen this.
Anything for you specifically that you think has unlocked, or do you think it's more the group getting some more reps, more time, more synergy together?
Yeah, a little bit of that, and then just kind of playing with a free mind. I think early in the year I was kind of upset, or not upset, but just like worried about what's going on. There's a lot going on with injuries and all that. It just kind of sucks. But now I just kind of just had the mindset of whoever's out here is out here. You know, we got to go out here and play extremely hard and give ourselves a chance to win the game. And I know that's going to start with me. And I'm okay with that. I'm up for the challenge. I'm up for it. I'm blessed to be able to get up every single morning and do what I love to do. You know, the Lord has blessed me with that opportunity. So I'm not going to take it for granted. And like I said, it was a stretch this year where I wasn't, my happiest. It just was a lot going on. I don't like to lose. Y'all know that I've said that like the last 5 years. So, but in my mind, I was like, listen, I'm gonna go out here and like coach up my teammates and make them feel like they want to play basketball, make them uplift them, and go out here and try to be the best personal version of myself and help us win games. And I think that's what I've been doing lately.
Was there a moment?
All right, so just stop it. We'll stop it right there. Bree just stopped it right there because there's a second part. But just your thoughts initially on what you heard from him.
Well, I think it's a good lesson for anybody, right? Where he has played on good teams his entire NBA career, and he's been a part of those teams for the most part. Maybe not his rookie year as much, but the rest of those years, the fact that he has exceeded expectations and really given the Sixers something that the number 21 pick in the draft does not always give, he's been a big part of this. But in some ways, Devon, it's easier to perform and be happy when those things are going on. Like this is a trying time for him. Now, he got to experience a little bit of this last year when Joel went down. But even then, like he had already banked the amazing first half of last year. Like this is a kid who's going to have a super long NBA career. And this is the first time he's played on a team that really hasn't been in the mix for a top seed in the Eastern Conference. But I think it's a good lesson for everybody that, you got to go to work and you got to try and make the best of it. There are still things you can do to get better, even as the surrounding, the factors are not going your way. And he's done that. And by the way, does it surprise me that he finally figured that out? No. Yeah. He's the most positive person in the world. The idea that he would deal with a little bit of adversity and not overcome it at some point. I mean, come on. And I got to say, like what he said after last night's game, trying to give this franchise hope, trying to just keep everybody afloat and their spirits high and just try to hold things down until Paul and Joel come back. I think he has done an awesome job. And, look, man, I've been surly after some of these games, and he, in the last week, has really made watching this team fun again. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, like, he's a cool player. That's part of it, too, right? Like, when he's cooking and when he's blowing by people and he's bombing threes, like, that is objectively fun to watch, with his speed and his gifts and his personality on the floor. But I think he also deserves credit for the overcoming adversity part, for the just continuing to stick with it and finally right himself after struggling for a few months there at the beginning of the year. So he definitely deserves that. And I think this is the best stretch he has ever played without Joel Embiid. Like last year, Derek made the point, I believe, on Saturday's show where, in some of those games, he was still putting up some really good scoring numbers, and he was still pretty efficient with the scoring when Joel went down last year. But the command of the offense is not where it really has been over the last few weeks. And look, this is a small sample size, so I'm not saying he's always going to be like this. And frankly, like, even if he played at a level that was a few notches down from what we've seen from the past week, it would still be like praiseworthy, excellent basketball.
100%.
Obviously, that's not the way it works. It's not easy to just keep a flat line the whole way. Sometimes you play great, sometimes you play poor. That is part of the NBA. The other guys get paid as well. But I'm just like really excited watching him. And he gets a team in Sacramento who I think he could have another big game against tonight too. So like credit to Tyrese. It's always been the case with this team, man. Like when everything else goes wrong, when there's 5,000 weird things going on, when Joel gets hurt, Tyrese is always there. He's always smiling. He's always coming to play. It's not always perfect. I'm not saying he's like a top 5 NBA player, but he really has been a stabilizing force for this team his whole career.
Yep, and he pointed out so much that was going on, and here he is with the second part of the conversation last night of just simply getting the joy back.
Was there a moment, either a game or just like a play, where you felt like that happiness come back?
I think that right after we played Orlando twice here. And it was honestly just like we played Charlotte. I won't forget, we played Charlotte. They denied me like off catch, like off the rip. As soon as the ball went up, they face guarded me. Orlando trapped me every play, like the first 2 games. I mean, the 2 games we played them.
Yep.
It was just like, man, I wanted to be aggressive for my teammates, try to help us win games. But I wasn't I didn't feel I couldn't play. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn how to play that way. And after that, I kind of talked to some family members. Talked to Christopher a little bit. He's here, so he just wanted me to be happy. Myra, my mom, my dad, like those people are good people to have around. You know what I'm saying? They said you don't look happy, you don't look like yourself. Get back to that, and I think the sky's the limit for your team and yourself. So ever since then, I've been great. I've been happy, blessed. Don't like losing still, but I like the challenge of going out here every single day and pushing my teammates to be better.
So when he talks about, thank you, Bree, appreciate that. Again, that was Kyle and Derek posting last night on our PHLY_Sixers Twitter account. Make sure you go follow it.
I like those quotes, man. They made me feel better.
Yeah, so while we're not Christopher, Myra, mom and dad.
So I wonder who Christopher is.
I think that's his best friend.
Is that Chris Harris, the Oklahoma State player? I think so. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I did a story on him once where his friend from growing up in Dallas was also a very good player, like not quite on Tyrese's level, but he played at Oklahoma State.
Yep.
So
this is best
good
friend.
dude. I interviewed him.
Yeah,
good dude.
always around. You might see him sometimes if you catch Tyrese Maxey's parents sit at the scorers table closer to the bench.
Yeah,
you'll see them. If they're not there, it's normally him.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And his girlfriend sitting right there at the scorers table. So,
well, I certainly notice when it's Tyrese's parents there. They probably live in the area now.
I think so. Yeah.
They're at a lot of home games.
Yeah,
now.
and when I was at the Knicks game because it was a nationally televised game, they couldn't sit there. They had to sit on the other side on the floor, but just not at the table. But so that's who they were when he said when he named those names. But the thing that struck me again is just because while we're not them, we feel like we know him well enough, just being around him, all the positivity, and then seeing the way that he has played, of course. When we said he doesn't look like himself, he doesn't look. So when he's talking about getting those double teams, getting those traps, Rich, and kind of dejected, like kind of defeated that he couldn't solve it, couldn't figure it out to help his teammates out. It was going to be difficult because Paul George and Joel Embiid were not out there on the floor with him.
Some of it
so
is
he has to figure it out, but he also has to stay engaged in the game. And look, we're not out there. I've never played in an NBA game. I've only played at the lower level of basketball in high school and a little stuff in college. But I'd imagine how you can, get a little dejected, get a little defeated that why can I not figure out this defense to get what I want, to take these guys off the bounce like I normally do, get to the basket and finish at the rate that I also do, and get the calls, by the way, from the officials. That will play in. Now, he can't say that at the podium, but to not get the calls and where we see him outside of his character complaining to the officials the way that he does, that also plays a little bit into it.
By the way, I'm happy you brought up the calls. I'm really happy that over these last 2 weeks, I don't think we've talked about Tyrese Maxey's whistle once. Now, we got a good whistle last night.
9 for 9.
Put Bronny in jail a couple times and had some, some old tricks that he pulled. But we're not really talking about the whistle all that much. Feels good, right? Like, I mean, I think some of that he's just got to play through, and I think he is playing through it now. So, he's been really good. And it's just nice to have him back because that makes watching this team much more enjoyable. And obviously watching him take steps as a passer and just a guy who, just controls the entire offense. I mean, I'm sure it is difficult when you are the top guy on the scouting report. And, some of it is taking that pressure, taking those double teams, those extra bodies thrown your way and saying, okay, how do I position myself where I'm not going to get the bucket here? But we got 4 other guys on the floor who are NBA players who I can put in better positions to succeed. I thought last night, like one of the big stories of the game, Sixers ran some really good zone offense at times. That was good. But the other thing that happened was in those zone possessions, the Lakers were playing a 2-3. The 2 guys would just blitz Maxey like 35 feet from the hoop. And he was just diming guys up, simple passes. He wasn't getting the assist. But it was Yabusele, it was Oubre, it was Justin Edwards flashing to the free throw line or to the wing, and those guys would create a good shot for someone else. And that all starts with Tyrese Maxey. And it just feels like, all right, fine. If you want to play me like that, that's great. But it's not necessarily a good answer because we got guys that are starting to play some better basketball, be it the young guys, Justin Edwards, Adam Bona, Ricky played well last night. But also, like, Eric Gordon's knocking his threes down, and that's a big deal. Yep. So the Sixers, it feels like, and Kelly's been pretty consistent too, right? Kelly's going to give you, all the effort in the world. He's going to drive hard to the rim. Maybe his threes don't go in, but you generally know what you're going to get from Kelly every night now as well. And Tyrese is the head of the snake there.
And the point that you make about last night where he was passing out of those double teams, finding his teammates, he was calm. If he's calm, then everybody else will follow suit. As you said earlier with the contagiousness of his personality, if he's out there as the lone star, as the guy, if he's calm, everyone else is going to be at least a little bit at ease out there on the floor that things are working well. Nick Nurse knows that his point guard has the control of what's going on the floor. And when those blitzes come, guess what? okay, cool. I'm going to step through. I'm going to move the ball, step through, make that bounce pass that I need to make, instead of taking that 2 extra dribbles and get yourself trapped right in that corner of the sideline, and now you're panicking to get out of it. And that's what we've seen from him over the past month, where all of that stuff is basically gone away, just simply gone away, and he looks like the all-star level player that he was a season ago, which earned him that first appearance in the all-star game. So we'll see if he has that back tonight. And I thought it was a great point that you pointed out with Justin Edwards, Dembona, all of those young players getting comfortable, even the veterans with Eric Gordon.
Starts with
that
Maxey.
starts with him.
Yes.
Starts with him.
100%.
And they're getting just more comfortable because they're getting regular reps out there on the floor. You know, when you're practicing, yes, they switch things up in practice and they have different personnel. But generally, Tyrese Maxey is practicing with Paul George, Kelly Oubre, Caleb Martin, Yabusele, or Joel Embiid. That's it. He's not really practicing with the rest of them. So it's still a little bit of an unknown of who you are out there on the floor. So now that they are comfortable, they have their feet underneath them as young players in this game, everybody feels better about what they're doing on the floor.
I wonder,
a mistake is not as magnified as it was before.
I almost wonder if it's a little freeing to, now that they've gotten some momentum, because still there's not like a lot expected of this group, right? And it's let's go out, let's shock everybody, prove everybody wrong, and let's do this. He's been great, and like you said, like just getting the ball to Yabusele at the free throw line for the 4-on-3 or the 3-point line. He has done, Tyrese, when I say he has done his job, it feels like it. Like one stat from last night, he shot 11 of 15 on 2-pointers. That's great, right?
Yep.
He really hasn't even, he's shooting 39% from 3 over this stretch, but he hasn't had the one game where he just completely goes bonkers from 3.
We've seen some 6, we've seen some 5.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the 8, 9 that
we haven't seen the game where he goes
right.
supernova, which everybody knows he is more than capable of doing.
Right.
Now that obviously is, you can't rely on that night to night,
especially with just him out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, it would be nice to see it tonight, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're going for a 4-game winning streak, which is, again, Rich, the longest of the season.
Yeah.
4 games.
This one would be amazing.
This one would be really good.
Considering like they start with Cleveland, really tough game, best game of the year. Then PG is out for the second half of a back-to-back. They get to travel. You win the game last night against the Lakers without all of these guys. And then if you beat Sac tonight on the second half of a back-to-back, that would be great. Let
me ask you this, too, before we get to the Kings and De'Aaron Fox, just quickly, that when you also talk about him just being a little bit more uncomfortable, them playing with a little bit less pressure, is that maybe with him playing that way, that they're also – I'm not worried about when Joel Embiid comes back. I'm not worried about when Paul George comes back. When they come back, they come back. Right now, we have who we have. We do what we need to do. Just that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't miraculously just say, snap your finger, and those guys are going to be back out there. They have to heal up in order to be back out there, so they're just playing some good ball right now. All right, as far as the Sacramento Kings go and the 76ers, Rich, they played on New Year's Day in Sacramento. Mike Brown fired Christie, game number 2 as the head coach. Sixers had that one, man.
It was a bad last few minutes.
They had that one, man, and that was part of the trip out west. They lost 113-107. Folks, it was much closer than that. It was much closer than that.
Wasn't it like a 15-0 run in the game for
at
Sacramento?
the end of the game, Fox ended up with 35. Sabonis had 21 boards, 7 assists in that one, and the 76ers lost that particular game. So an opportunity to get back at them. But
Fox was insane in that
35 in that, and it didn't even feel like it until later in the game when they had that run.
13 of 16 from the field, and he is so fast
that
when that mid-range jumper is going down, there's really nothing you could do. Yeah. Like for a shorter guy, he can get that shot off extremely easily because like Maxey, probably even a little more than Maxey, which is rare when somebody has better speed than Tyrese Maxey. But I think De'Aaron Fox might be the fastest guy in the league with the ball in his hands. You just have to respect that drive. So he was great. Here's the thing, though, Devon. We said last night, like, what is the room for positivity for this game? And we said, all right, Lakers are on a back-to-back. LeBron is, we've seen him coast through some of these games. They might be a little bit better or a little bit worse than their record indicates. I will raise you this for this game. This is the first game since De'Aaron Fox or his agent or somebody put out the media offensive, the media blitz, saying, get me out of here by the trade deadline next week.
And I want to go to San Antonio. How about that?
Maybe the vibes are bad all of a sudden in Light the Beam world. I don't know. But what do you make of that? What do you make of him wanting to go. And I actually thought when that report came out, all of those reports, because it was multiple people who had it. It also cracks me up the newsbreaker game too. They all say, well, he has his one preferred destination, but they won't say the destination. And it's like, come on, tell us the destination. Anyway,
we later found out it was San Antonio.
I thought initially it was Houston because obviously they're a good team.
Yeah.
They could use a guard, although FVV is playing well for them. And obviously Amen is great. Yeah. I mean, I don't even count him as a guard. He's just a basketball player. Yeah. But he's from there as well, too. But it sounds like he wants to go to San Antonio. And if you're worried about trying to win titles and things like that, I get that.
You link yourself to that other guy.
I get that.
Yeah, you link yourself to that other guy. What I thought about it was, by the way, on the road, the Kings are 11-10 on the road. So we'll see how things go for them here tonight. But what I thought about it was, once we found out in the offseason anyway that he wasn't going to sign that extension, that this was a possibility. If things don't go right, one chip is going to fall, and that was going to be Mike Brown, the coach, which they did, and that was pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then if things continue, while they did have a good stretch after Doug Christie stepped in as the interim head coach, they have, again, slid down a little bit more to the back end of the Western Conference where things have gotten real here. And I think it is Rich Paul who is his agent.
Yes.
So you know how that goes with him. And with that being said, I wasn't all that surprised, man. They're still 24-22. If he wants to sign wherever he wants to sign, I'd imagine if he can control it, he knows how much Rich Paul can get things done, especially in season like that. Why not take the shot and see what happens, especially to find the spot that you want to go to, that if you are going to sign an extension, at least you have a half a season to see what it looks like if you're going to stay in Houston or San Antonio or whatever it might be. Or if they get traded to Miami and it doesn't work out, all right, I'm not staying here. I'm going to go back out west, but go to one of those two teams in Texas.
Yeah, well, the other point with the extension, too, is that, you know, if Fox were to sign with a team in free agency, I think he is the free agent we forgot about last night. I think
26?
He might have one more year left on his deal. Anyway,
I think you're right.
If you get traded to a team, they can sign you to an extension for more money. Mm-hmm. So that's probably part of the reason as well. But let's hope that the vibes are all screwed up.
Bad vibes.
Are all screwed up, and the Sixers can take advantage of it.
Yep. All right, let's get to the starters here tonight. The starting lineup is ready to go. Same starting lineup as last night. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely.
Yabusele at the 5, and in the front court with him, Kelly Oubre and Justin Edwards once again. Eric Gordon, Tyrese Maxey round out the back court for Nick Nurse's team as the 76ers get ready to take on the Sacramento Kings led by De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and all. We'll talk a little bit more about some all-star stuff a little bit later. But let's get to our Bet365 pick segment brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Let's show what we have here tonight, Bree, and see what we have put together for the folks to go to Bet365 and jump on. And by the way, if you do go into Bet365, they do have a parlay boost available for 30%. Up 30% for the parlay boost there on Bet365. So if you want to check that out at Bet365, the 30% parlay boost is available. And I was a little disappointed that last night Anthony Davis got hurt. Not his fault, but he got hurt, messed up the parlay because Rich hit his. I hit the other part of my parlay with Tyrese Maxey hitting his 4 threes. And, of course, Anthony Davis goes out, and now he's out for a week, I believe Shams said, because of the abdominal thing. So
that could be tricky. AD's had some tricky injuries during his career.
Man. Yeah. Thanks, Anthony Davis. We really appreciate that for messing our bets up from last night. All right, mine is simple. I went with the 3-point line tonight. I went with some role players here. One of my favorite, man. I'm a big Keegan Murray guy. And he, you know, that size, that's the type of player you talk about too, with the size next to Maxey and Embiid in particular before Paul George got here. And just a big time shooter there. Eric Gordon, 2+ threes with the way that he's shooting the basketball after his wisdom teeth have been pulled and all healed up to go with Murray. That's a +125 same game parlay.
I like that.
You like that one?
I like that. Obviously, I think EG definitely hitting 2 threes tonight. So Murray is the guy to look for there. I went with the threes as well, Devon, and there are 2 parts of this. So number one,
Justin Edwards.
Number one, the Sacramento Kings give up a lot of the percentage of their shots from beyond the arc. One of the teams that really packs the paint, gives up threes. I'm sure that is to help Domantas Sabonis, who is not really a traditional rim protector.
Yep.
And the other part of this is that Justin Edwards, you know you have made it when Bet365 is starting to give out the props
They got
for
the
you.
props.
Way to go, kid.
Who got the props?
You have
Who
earned
got
it.
the props?
When you open up the app today and Justin Edwards is there, that is delightful stuff. Great job, Justin.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Look at that. When you're in the starting lineup and you play the way that you've been playing, even in the reserve role, Bet365 acknowledges your play. Those are our picks.
I think he's done that in 4 of his last 8 games. So
2 threes.
I mean, look, he's hunting them too, man. Like, he is not shy.
And that step back that you talked about last night, LeBron.
Yeah, that was a hard one.
That was nasty. Yeah.
I think he's going to get some.
There's our Bet365 picks for our pick segment brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. The Kings also play at a big-time pace. So with that pace, you'll have an opportunity to shoot some threes.
More threes going up.
No doubt about it. All right, more threes going up. More show for us later on, going up right after the game. Sixers, Kings back here in Philadelphia, game 2 of their 6-game homestand. Nice win over the Lakers on Tuesday. What can they do for an encore against the Kings here on Wednesday? We'll find out, and we'll be back after the game to talk about it with you. We'll speak to Derek and Kyle post-game from the arena. For Rich, Bree, I'm Devon. We'll catch up after the game, see what the Sixers do. Maxey go off once again. Justin Edwards with more than 2 threes. We'll talk about it all post-game right here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show presented by Bet365. Enjoy.
We all silly like the mayor.